Hello, happy new month. It's the 1st of July today. Yeah, it's the 1st of July. We're past the halfway mark, point of 2021. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the months, everything has just flown by. I cannot believe that we're already in July. But we're here, so happy 1st of the month. And we're starting a new She's the Boss Lesson of the Day series for July. Last month was being a better entrepreneur. This month is about the 9 lessons I learned on my entrepreneurial journey. Or my entrepreneurial journey in 9 lessons is probably a better way to indicate or to phrase it. So what does that mean? It means every lesson of the day on a Tuesday and Thursday morning, I'm going to be sharing elements of my journey and linking them to the lesson that I learned, all with the aim of inspiring, motivating, uplifting, empowering, educating, informing you so that you're able to make better choices, make better decisions in your business and to build a better business, as you know. So if you are new here, thank you for joining me. I'm Daniela. I am the founder of She's the Boss, and I work with ambitious entrepreneurs to build and grow profitable, sustainable, systems-driven businesses. And I do that through a combination approach. So I combine coaching with mentoring, training, consultancy, a variety of loads of things. I've worked with many businesses over the last few years and help them to grow their businesses, in some cases by up to 75%. I think the biggest growth I've seen, in fact I haven't even quantified the biggest growth that I've seen, but I've got one specific client that went from 15 grand to predicted to do 1.6 million next year. So just an indication of the kind of results that I get. And really the main reason I do what I do is because I want you guys to be successful in business. I want you to learn from my mistakes, learn from the mistakes that my clients have made, and just basically be equipped with the kind of knowledge that you need to do better, as I've said. So many of you may know parts of my journey if you've listened to any of the podcast episodes that I often share on my page. I've been featured on a few, I was featured on a few last month, so may know bits and bobs of my journey, but I've been speaking to a few people recently, and particularly my trainer, shout out Antonia, who has said that he wasn't aware of certain elements of my background. And actually this specific lesson of the day, and the whole series actually for this month, is something I'm really excited about sharing with you, because I think it is going to resonate with so many of you. Morning, Esther. Thank you. I like these earrings myself. I thought that my cough had gone, but it seems to be making an appearance. So your background shouldn't define your aspirations. One of the things that I have found, as somebody that comes from an inner city, what you would call a deprived background, in interacting with other people from similar backgrounds, I find that there's a kind of a cap on what we often allow ourselves to aspire to. And when I speak to certain people, they will say, oh, well, it's okay for you to have these big aspirations because you come from this background or that background, not knowing that actually I come from the exact same background as them. And that's why I really wanted to share this conversation with you guys today. So I live in Birmingham in the UK, but I'm actually originally from a small city called Nottingham, which is like an hour's drive away. So for those of you who always think I've got a Birmingham accent, I actually don't, because I'm not from Birmingham. I've lived here a long time. I've been in Birmingham for 17 years, I think. So in the next 2 years, I would have lived in Birmingham longer than I've lived in Nottingham. But I'm actually from Nottingham. And my background is not one of affluence. I'm not from a middle-class family. I don't come from money. We grew up, myself and my 2 brothers, in a council estate, in a council house in Nottingham. In fairness, it wasn't the worst of the council estates. I'm not going to try and make it seem like I was from like a proper dump, because I wasn't, but I was raised on a council estate. I went to an inner city comprehensive. Just an example of some of the things that I kind of witnessed. I remember somebody's house down the street got ram raided. The house next door but one to me at one point was a drugs den. But as I said, I'm not trying to do this my poverty is worse than yours thing, but I did not come from money. And I think it's really important that I say this. For the early part of my childhood, my parents weren't working, or were working kind of bits and bobs. So we kind of struggled. I remember times quite specifically where we didn't have anything. So my granddad, rest in peace. My granddad lived not that far from us, and I remember times when my granddad would help out the family. We didn't have a car. I remember at one period of time we didn't have a house phone. At school, I was very conscious of the fact that other people had more than me. So like the clothes that I was wearing, the kind of lifestyle that I was living, I know was very different to some of the people that I went to school with. And I was very conscious of that fact, particularly as I went into secondary school. By the time I'd got to secondary school, both of my parents had decided that they wanted to make a change, and went back to, well, not went back, they didn't have degrees, they decided to go to university. Someone's staring in my face, this is weird. Stopped and really just looked. Anyway, went back to university, both of them at the same time. So they've gone from, I suppose, kind of being on the dole, or I think it would have been the dole then, and then working kind of hodgepodge, to then both of them being in full-time education. Now, for us as kids, we didn't really understand the magnitude and significance of that. All we knew was that we didn't have no money, and our parents just got their heads in the books all the time. And I remember being at secondary school, and actually I would say that was really where the spark for my entrepreneurial journey came from, because I remember being at secondary school, and one of my best friends at the time, I remember she was wearing designer clothes, she was going on holidays on a regular basis, her mum would drop her in this like hot tin car, and I couldn't relate to that lifestyle at all. Like, her mum owned her house, her dad, her parents weren't together, but her dad owned his house, and she was living a nice life. She could do kind of essentially what she wanted to do, and she was getting pocket money, and I didn't have any of that. And I remember vowing to myself to say, this is not going to be my situation. Like, I am going to work out a way to make money for myself and for my family in the future. And I would say then, from a very young age, I always had this desire to want to improve my situation. And once my parents both finished and graduated from university, and I suppose that's also why I'm such a fan of university education, because I saw the direct difference that it made on our lives. So I think both of them had finished by the time I was 13 or 14, maybe 14 actually. And we went from being, I don't even want to say working class, because I feel like it was below working class. We went from being poor to suddenly we kind of were in an upper working class, lower middle class. They both got professional jobs. My dad became a software developer. My mum became I can't remember, a technical consultant, I think it was. So they weren't even doing like basic things. They got good jobs. And then all of a sudden, my mum was going shopping. I always remember my mum just went nuts for Karen Millen. She was just in Karen Millen all the time, just buying up clothes, which I assume is because for a long period of time, she wasn't able to buy any stuff. And I saw how, I suppose, being focused on changing your situation enabled them to level up our family. Unfortunately, it didn't last, because they split up like a year or two later, and then they were, obviously now there's 2 households. So the level wasn't maintained. However, we didn't ever drop back to where we were before. So for me, that was a direct, what's the word? A direct example of how your background in that instance didn't dictate their aspirations. They neither one of them came from money. Both of my parents, particularly my mum, came from struggle backgrounds. Like, they struggled, but they both sat down and said, actually, we've got these 3 kids, we're struggling, we don't want to struggle anymore. And specifically what they said is, we're going to have to struggle for this period of time, because the university is like 3 years. I think my dad did 4 years, because I think he did a placement. So there was a heavy period of struggle in between that, but they saw what that struggle would lead to, and therefore made that commitment, made that sacrifice. And I suppose we, as the kids, made the sacrifice inadvertently, without knowing, made that sacrifice so that we could then, and they could then, create a better lifestyle. Esther said, I can relate to your mum when you get money and try to make up for the days you didn't have any. Yeah, I did the same thing some years later, but that's just, I'll talk about that in a minute. So how does this relate to you? How does it relate to you? You may be sitting and thinking, well, I don't know, there's nobody in my family that has hit 6 figures. There's no one in my family that's hit 7 figures. There's no one in my family that's ran a successful business. There's no one in my family that has employed staff, and therefore it's not for me. Well, in both of my parents' families, no one in their families had been to university. They were the first to go to university in both of their respective families. But both of them made the decision to do that, irrespective of the fact that there was nobody else that did it. Now, bringing it back to me, as I said, those years where they were at uni and we were struggling, I said, right, I can't do this. Like, I want some money as well. And therefore I started to look at ways that I could generate income. So I learnt skills. So I learnt how to braid hair. I tell this story quite a lot when I do speaking engagements, but I would braid hair in school. I remember specifically getting kicked out of a maths class, actually, for braiding one of my friend's hair during the maths class. I don't know why I thought that was appropriate. But I was then able to generate some income. I remember very early, even though as kind of circumstances had changed by the time I was kind of 16, 17, I still had that kind of hustling mentality. So I remember managing to negotiate with my friend's dad for him to hire me to work for the organisation that he worked for. And I remember, this is like, I can't remember what year it was that I was 16, but I'm not 16 anymore. So it was a long time ago. I was getting paid £6.67 an hour. And I don't know what I think the hourly rate now is like, what, £9 something an hour? I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. So imagine how long ago that was, and I was getting paid £6.67 an hour. I was getting paid more an hour than many of like my friends' parents, because I managed to negotiate. So I was always trying to generate more income. I did events. I remember organising a surprise party for my mum, and that's when I realised that I actually enjoyed events. And my first business actually was an event management company. I washed cars. So again, I negotiated with my dad and sometimes my dad's friends to wash their cars for some money. I remember babysitting my mum's university friends' kids for extra money. So there was always a kind of this aspiration to generate my own income and not to just sit and wallow in the fact that we don't have much. No, I'm going to work out how to get it. But also, I suppose, even greater than that, I kind of always had this mindset, or not always, but from as long as I can remember, had this mindset that I need to achieve greatness in my life. Not only do I need to make some kind of money to just get by, I need to make enough money that my children and hopefully my children's children will be impacted. I want to leave a financial legacy for my family. And more importantly, I don't want to ever have a situation where my children feel like they don't have. Morning, Tiana, as well. Morning, everybody that's joined in. Again, happy 1st of July. If you're just joining me, the topic for the lesson of the day today is the fact that your background shouldn't define your aspirations. So, yeah, one of the interesting things that happened recently, I was giving my daughter a bath and she was asking me for something. I can't remember what it was. And I remember just looking in her eyes and thinking to myself, if she wants it, really, I could give it to her. I can't remember what it is. I think maybe a birthday party, something that costs money anyway. And I remember looking into her eyes and really thinking, wow, you don't know what it means to not have. And actually, in that moment, I thought I've achieved pretty much half, it's not all of it, of what I set out to achieve from kind of my teen years. This idea that my kids will never want. And obviously, she's still a kid, like she's got more years, and I assume I'm going to have more children. So it's not a written story. Touch wood, everything will continue growing at the pace that it's growing. But she's never experienced in the way that I experienced what it feels like to not have. And that is because of the fact that I've always had this mentality. So again, I implore you to not limit yourself to think that you can't achieve something because you've never had it or you've never experienced it or the people around you have never experienced it. I went to university. Obviously, I went to university primarily because my parents had, and they encouraged me to do so, and I'm very grateful that they did. Fell in love with education. So now I have 3 degrees. And I say that confidently because I worked hard, and I'm not going to hide about the fact I have 3 degrees. And I've been able to, because of the education that I've kind of I've had, I've been able to change my life even further from how my parents changed theirs. So they were able to kind of go up one level, and I would say I've been able to go up another level from there. And I'm hoping that I'm going to go up another couple of levels from that, and achieve exactly what I set out to, which is to create a lasting financial legacy. So economic freedom, I suppose, is the goal. And that comes from, again, me allowing my situation or my circumstances, my background, to motivate me. What you shouldn't be doing is allowing your circumstances, whether that's now or in the past, to dictate your future. You should allow it to motivate you. If you're struggling now, allow that struggle to motivate you to be better in the future. If you were struggling then and you've managed to kind of move forward a little bit, still remember those hard times and allow those hard times to motivate you to move forward, to be the best that you can be. For me, giving up is not an option, and it's never been an option, because I know what struggle looks and feels like, and I don't want to be there again. So think about that. One of the things, I used to do this talk years ago, I haven't done it for a while, like how to keep pushing when you want to give up. And one of the key things that I would always say is imagine what giving up looks like. Like, really sit, and if you give up and you kind of are thrust into failure in life, what does that look and feel like? Sit in that. And for me, anytime where I've been kind of like, oh, do I want to do this? Not this business in particular, but I know there was a period after I sold my first business, before I started this business, where I was kind of in the wilderness. What should I do? And I remember thinking, if I give up and I don't continue on this road of entrepreneurship, what are the outcomes? And I could have gone and got a job. I probably could have got a good job. But do I want a job? Do I want to be committed to having to be somewhere 9 to 5:30 every single day? No, I do not. But also, is that going to allow me to create the financial wealth and freedom that I want in the future? Is it going to enable me to create a financial legacy for my children in the way that I want to? No, it's not. Potentially what it's going to do is put me back into a situation of poverty. Do I want that? No, I don't. What did that feel like? It felt horrible. I don't want to feel that situation again. Therefore, I need to go and do this. And there was a period of time in that time, particularly when I was pregnant with my daughter. And this was the story I was telling to my trainer yesterday. My daughter is 6 next week. A week today, she's going to be 6. When I was pregnant with her, my first business that had been turning over 6 figures, I had like an office full of staff. It was failing terribly. We lost funding. I lost staff members. I was going down this investment journey. I was trying to get investment for the business. The investment got pulled at the very last minute, and I really stopped, and I could feel the panic of, oh my gosh, I'm going back into poverty. I can feel the poverty coming. I'm looking in the bank account. The money's going down, down, down. I've gone into the overdraft, and I'm like, I'm here again. How am I going to get out of this situation? And luckily somebody bought the business from me, and I sold the business a month after my daughter was born. So she was born in July. I sold the business in August, and I had to make that money stretch. And my husband was working, but because the business had been going so well for such a long time, our outgoings had gone up. And then now there's no more incoming from my side. So we struggled. And I have to say a big thank you to 2 of my friends in particular, Kemi and Leanne. Leanne is the founder of Dope Black Women. Go and give them a follow if you're a dope black woman. And I remember at one specific time, I was pregnant at this point. My mum, also, which led to me selling the business. My mum was in intensive care in Nottingham in a hospital, really sick, fully like out in a coma, half dead. And I remember saying I needed to get to Nottingham, but I didn't have a car. And I remember, I don't know if anyone's watched The 5 Heartbeats. It's one of my favourite films. And there's a scene in The 5 Heartbeats where the guy's telling his friends that his wife is pregnant, or his girlfriend is pregnant, and doesn't know what to do. And they all start, like, they give him some money, and he starts crying and saying thank you. And that's what my friends did to me. They was like, look, go and hire a car, go and see your mum. Like, this is ridiculous. So this is 6 years ago. So 6 years ago, I was broke. And 7 years ago, I was in the money. Money was up. I remember flying out to Jamaica, like just on a whim, because I wanted to go, and the money was just there, and I could. And as quickly as I got it is as quick as I lost it. And when I tell you the motivation now to make sure that never happens again, because now obviously I've got a child, number one, but also I saw what it felt like to have, and then to have it taken away, and it was not a nice experience. So at the moment, my focus is on how do I create multiple streams of income so that if one does get taken away, there's others to kind of back it up. I'd say luckily now, the way that I've kind of built this new business, it would be very difficult for that to happen because it's kind of built around my knowledge and my skills as opposed to a specific external service. But you should never say never, and anything could happen. So I say all that to say, don't feel like you see me on here and I'm talking about, yeah, I had Miracle May and I did this, that. This is something that I've come from. This is something that I've been motivated to do and to create because of my background, my early background and my recent background. Let me just read these comments. True says, you will go up, not hoping. Thank you. I believe so. Women in the digital age said, this is really inspiring. Thank you. Lil Shah Sims, we didn't come this far to only come this far. Amen. And this is what I say. Like, I didn't come to here to not make it. Lenzai, morning Denise. Yes, my son thought it was hard done by instead of massively blessed. Well, I tell my daughter all the time, when I'm sure she's going to get fed up of it. She's got like climbing frame in her garden, swings, slide, trampoline, and I'm bored. When I was your age, I used to play with boxes. What do you mean you're bored? Go and find something to do. You don't know how you're blessed. Esther, I love hearing your story. So inspiring. This is why I love having you as my business coach. Thank you. So yeah, use your life lessons to make you greater. And I use my life lessons. So I use my background, my experience to kind of empower, to motivate. But also in the poverty scenario, when you're coming from a situation where where you've had to struggle and that kind of thing, I feel like it gives you a couple of extra skills, resilience being one. When you're used to sufferation, as I like to call it, when you're used to sufferation, you become more resilient. You also have to be more creative. You have to find creative ways of doing things. And I would say one of the reasons that I am quite creative in generating income, and I can be quite reactive in terms of jumping on opportunities and looking for new opportunities and capitalizing on them, is because that's what I had to do when I didn't have anything. When I was broke, 6 years ago, when I was growing up broke, I always had to look at ways of kind of surviving and getting that kind of next amount of money in. And therefore that boosted my creativity. So some people, and again, I'm going to say this because I think some people are ashamed of their background. They're ashamed of kind of situations that they've been in that have been tough. They're ashamed of struggle. They're ashamed of the suffering that they may have encountered before or even now. But actually those things make you stronger, and they also make you, they give you a tenacity that those who have just had it easy all through their life just don't have. Like, one of the kind of struggles that I'm having now is working out how do I ensure that my daughter has the same level of drive as I do, when she's never going to, hopefully, well, she won't. God is my witness, I'm not going to allow it. But if she's never going to have that kind of struggle, desire to have to do better, then what's going to give her that tenacity? I don't know. And it's something that I've spoken to with a few of my friends about. How do we make sure that our children have that desire when they don't have the struggle? But if you are in that struggle period now, if you've been in that struggle before, think big. So, you can't see on my t-shirt today. Think big, take action, keep pushing. This whole motto comes from my life. I didn't just come up with it just on a whim. This is me, my life, kind of embodied. Think big, take action, keep pushing. And that's essentially what I did. I thought big. I remember growing up and people saying, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember saying, I want to be the UK's version of Oprah. I want to be a media mogul. I want to be a millionaire. And particularly, think about where I'm telling you that I came from. I'm coming from this inner city background, many one-parent families, teenage pregnancies, the drug dealers on the corner. And I'm here walking around saying I'm going to be a millionaire. Like, people will forever side-eye me like, this, okay, whatever. I remember even being at uni when I was doing my MBA. So that's only a couple of years ago. And I've told this story countless times, but I remember one of the lecturers doing some like personal development sessions, and he asked me in the session, Daniela, where do you expect to see yourself in 5 years? And I said, rich. And the man laughed like it was the funniest thing, like I was telling a big joke. And I was like, no, I'm not joking. I'm actually being serious. Like, what's the joke? And he was like, oh, okay. And then he moved on to the next person, because the idea of him that I'm going to be rich was so ridiculous to him that he wasn't even taking me seriously. And I was being dead serious. I still am being dead serious. That would have been what? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I've got 2 years. Fingers crossed we get there. But even if I don't get there in the time that I kind of allocated, and if you don't even get to where you want to be in the time frame that you've allocated, that's not what the important thing is. The important thing is, are you taking action? Are you consistently taking action to get you to that point? Are you believing that you can get to that point? And that's really key. That's the key part of it all. If you've not signed up to my mailing list, sign up to my mailing list today, and you'll see the newsletter for this month is going out around lunchtime. And the motivational quote at the beginning is, you are able to achieve your wildest dreams if you would just allow yourself to believe in them. And that's really key. If you believe that you can, you will hopefully do the things that you need to do to make those things happen. The problem is we allow our circumstances and our backgrounds to dictate what we're allowed to dream. So we won't even allow ourselves to dream big because we don't believe, because of where we come from, that we're able to achieve this big greatness. But you can, and you will. Like, I am not living the pinnacle of my dream right now, but when I look at where I've come from to where I am now, this is a dream come true. I've always believed that I'd achieve greatness, but if I'm honest, if I go back again 6 years ago when I was pregnant, for me to think that 6 years later I'd be living in my dream home, and it is a dream home. It's not the final dream home, but it is a dream home. That I would be driving what my husband's dream car. It's not really my dream car, but you know what I mean. That I'd have money in the bank, that I'd be able to pay to do the things that I'd want to do, that I'd be every day waking up and doing something that I love, that I enjoy. I would not have believed that it would have happened in such a short time frame. However, I believe that it would happen. I just didn't know how. And that is what is important. Allow yourself to believe that you can, and do the things that you need to do to make that happen. Whether it happens in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it will happen if you believe and allow yourself to believe. And that is what is important. I was speaking to one of my clients the other day, and she was saying, I don't know. And she said it so many times. I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this is going to be something that's going to work for me. And I'm saying, if you keep asking yourself and telling yourself that this is not something that you can achieve, you're not going to achieve it. And then there's no point in me working with you if you're going to consistently second guess yourself and tell yourself that you don't think you can do it. If you believe that you can do it, whether that's now or in the future, do the things to bring it to fruition. It will come. You will achieve it. I spoke about Miracle May. I said my coach, because I have a coach too, my coach told me in January that I needed to hit 10 figures. I wish that I needed to hit 10 grand a month in sales, not in revenue. There's a difference in sales. And I remember laughing at her like, okay, I believe that I can hit it. I don't think I can hit it this year, but I'm going to try, because it's not impossible. And this is what's important. Not believing something is impossible. Believe that it's possible, whether it's now or in the future. I believed that it was possible, and I worked towards trying to make it happen. I took action. And in May, I hit 10K on the 10th. And actually, the total sales revenue for May for my business was 20K. I doubled it. Do I have 20K in the bank right now? No, because it was sales. It wasn't revenue. It's going to come in jibs and drabs. But I hit the target. Why did I hit the target? Because I consistently took action, because I believed that I could, and it was within my power and within my grasp to achieve that. Did I think, well, nobody in my family's ever had a 10K month? No, I didn't. Did I think, well, I was broke a couple of years ago, this is not for me? No, I did not. I do not. I believe everything is for me. And I believe that the more I believe in that, the quicker that this is going to happen. I'm going to accelerate my success, because I believe that the success is due to me, that I'm owed it, that because of the work that I've put in over the years, because of my experiences. Another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on is, in terms of background, is sometimes we allow our kind of financial circumstances or our family kind of background circumstances to impact how we think. But also, sometimes it's greater than that. So it's quite clear, I'm a woman. I'm also a black woman. And in society, we're told quite often that women and that black women can only achieve certain levels of success. And this is important. I think I really wanted to share this today. Whether you're a woman or a black woman or not, it's really not the point. But the point is, you may have something else. It may be that, again, you're from a working class background. It may be that you've got dyslexia. It may be that whatever it is, society tells you that you cannot aspire to want to be great. You cannot aspire for success. You cannot aspire to happiness. You cannot aspire to be the best of whatever it is that you want to be the best at. And actually, as a black woman, I feel that I've got the double, kind of this double thing of you're a woman and you're black. And society doesn't want to see us win. And I could have internalized that and said, well, I'm not going to be a success. Nobody's going to want to work with me. No one's going to want to hire me and my business because I'm black and I'm a woman. And what do you know anyway? And even I remember with my first business, there was 3 issues, because when I started my first business, I was like 22. 22? Yeah, 22, 23. So I was young. I was black and I was female. And I remember people saying to me, no one's going to take you seriously. And I remember people not taking me seriously. I remember going into meetings and people saying, oh, so who's your boss? And people asking, can I speak to the manager, please? And people completely dismissing me because of the fact that I was a young black woman. Again, I could have taken that and said, oh, well, I need to give up. I didn't. I used it to my advantage. One of the things that I remember doing quite clearly is I would go to networking events, and I kind of got this strategy of wearing bright colours, wearing big hair. So my hair was always high up. I'd wear a big afro. And I'd be the first one to ask a question or the last person to ask a question. And I would stand up tall, introduce myself so that people would remember me. I'd go to these things and people would come up to me afterwards and speak to me, and we'd exchange numbers, because how do you miss the one black girl with the big hair in the sea of white faces? So I've always used it to my advantage. Use your perceived disadvantage to your advantage. Use it to allow you to stand out. Use it to allow you to be more creative. Use it to allow you to tap into different audiences. Use it to allow you to demonstrate that you've got different perspectives. Don't allow it to hold you back. Don't allow it to make you feel like you cannot achieve. Don't allow it to make you feel that you need to limit your aspirations. Do the absolute opposite. So the fact that I am a black woman in this kind of business advisory space means that I'm able to target women. I'm able to target black women. I'm able to target black people generally. But I'm also able to identify and relate to people that have disadvantage in a variety of other ways. And I use that to my advantage. I use it to kind of elicit, I'm able to relate. So if I'm able to relate to specific individuals, then it means that I'm able to provide them with support that is relatable. I can speak in their language. I can identify with the issues that they've had. The fact that I've come from poverty, I can relate to people telling me, well, right now money is tight. I can be reasonable around that because I know what it feels like. I remember what it feels like to want to pay for help and not be able to afford it. That's why I have, for my services, I have payment plans, because I don't think it's fair that I'm now here saying, well, you pay me in one go. Like, there's those people that say, if you really want it, you go and sell a car and you'll find the money. I don't believe in that, because I didn't have no car to sell when I needed help 10 years ago with my business. So I put things in place to accommodate that. I'm able to relate to what it feels like to lose a business, because I've lost a business. So therefore I can help provide people with the kind of knowledge and the tools to not have to go through that, because I've been there. And I try to often share my experiences so that you guys listening, watching, engaging with me are able to learn from kind of the steps that I've walked. So, to recap, where you start doesn't dictate where you end up. Your perceived disadvantage should not disadvantage you. It should motivate you. It should kind of push you forward. It should allow you to be creative. Use your life lessons, use your experience to kind of connect with your audiences. You don't know who's watching, who's listening, who may be in a similar situation to what you're in now or to what you've been in previously. Think big, and don't allow those kind of self-doubts, don't allow the kind of words of those around you who may also have limited aspirations. Don't let them tell you that you cannot. Don't let them tell you what you can and cannot be. Only you tell you, and you tell you that you can be great, that you can be the best, that you can run a 6 or 7 figure business, that you can achieve the levels of success that nobody else around you has achieved. Set the intention, take action towards it. Your background does not have to dictate your aspirations. Don't let your background dictate your aspirations. Don't let anyone dictate your aspirations. And that's it for today's lesson of the day. If you have found that useful, if you feel inspired, please share. Well, I'm going to share this IGTV this live in my IGTV. Please share it on your stories if you've taken anything away from this. It will also be on YouTube. So if you want to re-watch it, if you want to share it with someone, you can share it via YouTube or on my Instagram TV. If you want to make a change today, if you want to start kind of thinking big, taking action and achieving growth in your business, I have a range of services available to support you, particularly Guide My Vision. Guide My Vision is a half-day vision development program with 3 months one-to-one coaching or 6 months one-to-one coaching. If you're interested in that, please get in touch. Visit my website, www.shesthebossintl.com. You can download the brochure and see what Vision 20 and Guide My Journey is, and together they create Guide My Vision. I have a masterclass alert. The masterclass, the Build My Business masterclass, which was scheduled for the 23rd of July, is now going to be on the 20th of August. I've had to change the date for a variety of reasons. So look out for further information regarding that and you can sign up. And yeah, remember, think big, take action, keep pushing as always, and have a great day.